Hi all. In a short instruction video, I will talk you through the recording of your lectures using OBS Studio, so Open Broadcaster software, and Adobe Rush. What I will do in this instruction video, I will talk you through the basics that you need in order to get started with your lecture recordings. The first step is to download Open Broadcaster software from obsproject.com. Then I will talk you through some of the basic controls before we get to the setup of OBS Studio for your lecture recordings. And in this quick start guide, I will talk you through setting up your sources. So that would be your webcam, your microphone, and your screen capture. I will show you how to create different scenes, so you can switch between different combinations of your sources. I will talk you through some of the basic settings, and this mainly relates to selecting the correct output file for your recordings before we get to the actual start with your recordings. Now the first thing you will have to do is to download OBS Studio. If you just Google OBS Studio, the first link that should show up is the link to Open Broadcaster software. So go to that link and download OBS Studio for either your Windows computer, your Mac computer, or if you're using Linux, you can also download the file for Linux. Then you install OBS Studio, and that's when we can get started with looking at some of the basic controls and actually starting your recordings. When you first open OBS Studio, this is what you'll see. You'll see a big black screen with some controls on the bottom right corner, information about sources somewhere in the middle, and on the left-hand side we have scenes. And these are the different parts that we will going to work with. Where we will start is by adding the sources that we want to record. So the basic sources that you want to record will probably include your webcam and your display capture. This is because the microphone is already added and you can already see mine in the audio mixer. So the first thing I'll do is I will introduce my webcam, which is called a video capture device. I create a new device because I haven't added any existing ones. And what will happen now is that I'll get several options. So select the webcam that you want to use and you simply press OK. What happened now is that we can see the webcam working. And if you look at the bottom in sources, you see that a video capture device has been added. Now what is quite nice about OBS is that you can quite easily change the size of all of your sources. So I can just increase the size of this webcam. Before we move on to the next source, the next source will be a display capture. So in this display capture, you will actually capture your PowerPoint slides, so you can use them in order to produce your lecture recording. You can also record what you do on a website, so it's quite flexible. So if you want to show your students something in Canvas, you can also record that in OBS Studio. So what I do, I create a new source called display capture. I press OK. Now, you'll probably get this sort of endless stream of recordings in the middle. So what you want to do is that if you do have two screens, you want to select the second display. On the second display, what I've got is the week 2 slides for Accounting 5001. So I will use those as an example. So what I'll do, I'll select display 2, press OK. So now I have two sources. I've got one, the video capture device, and I've got another one, which is the display capture. Now these are the only sources that I have been using so far, but you can experiment by using other sources. The second step then is to record different scenes. Now the nice thing about scenes is that you can change the scenes while you are doing your recording. So what we will set up is that if you press a hotkey button like F5, you will see the webcam. If you press F6, you will only see the slide, and different combinations of these different sources. So the idea behind the scenes is that you can do transitions between different sources while you are presenting. So let's start and set this up. So in this first scene, what I will do, I will rename it to webcam and PowerPoint. So what I'll do, I'll just make this one a bit smaller, and I'll do the same with the webcam capture. And what you'll see in my webcam capture is there's quite a lot of white space on the side. So what I also want to do is I want to crop the image. So if you press the Alt button on your keyboard and then you start dragging this red window, you can crop the webcam capture. So you can change its size. So you can sort of make it even smaller if you'd like. I will put it in the bottom right corner for now. What I also want to do is with this slide, you can see that there's these black spaces on each side. I want to get rid of those. So what I do, I press the Alt button to crop the display capture. Once I've cropped the display capture, I can move it around to the top left corner and then increase its size. So in this way, you really maximize your recording space. And what we will do later is we will associate this scene with a hotkey like F5. So whenever you press F5, you will immediately go to this particular scene. Now, what we also want is we want to add different scenes. So what I'll do, I add one scene with just the webcam and one scene with just the PowerPoint presentation. So the way in which you do that is you go to the bottom where you've got this plus, you click the plus, you enter the name of the new scene, which will be webcam. Now, again, you get a black screen, and that is because we still need to add sources to this particular scene. So you go to sources and you click the plus button, and then you select your video capture device, which is your webcam. Now there's no need to create a new device here because we already added the webcam previously. So you can select add existing device and then select the video capture device and press OK. Now again, we have a small webcam now, but let's increase its size. If you want to crop it, again, you press the Alt button and you drag the sides in. You can also do the top if you want to. Now this looks pretty nice, so let's just keep it like this. And then we add another scene, and in this scene, we will only have the PowerPoint slide. So again, you go to Scenes, you click plus. I will call this PPT for PowerPoint. And again, what you see is a black screen because we still need to add the new source. So you go to Sources, you click the plus, and then you select Display Capture. Again, there's no need to actually produce a new display capture because I've already set it up. So we can use the existing display capture, and there we have it. What we have done now is we have created 3 key scenes that you can use while you do your lecture recording. So the idea is that you don't have to wait until the editing stage to introduce transitions. You can introduce transitions while you are recording by using certain hotkeys. The next thing then is to set up these hotkeys. So what we will do is we will go into Settings, which you can either access on the bottom right where you've got Settings, or you could go into Files and then press Settings. Both will take you to the same menu. Now in this menu, there's a number of things that we will need to do, but I will start with the hotkeys. So what you'll see whenever you go to the hotkey section, you will see the different scenes that we have just created. What you want to do is you want to associate certain keys on the keyboard, and I'm going to use the F5, F6, and F7 keys with switching to the scenes. So if I want to have the webcam as well as the PowerPoint, I will use F5. If I only want the webcam, I will use F6. If I only want to have the PowerPoint slide, I will use F7. So I apply this, and they will work right away. So if I now press F5, I move back to the first scene, which is webcam as well as PowerPoint. If I press F6, it will be just the webcam. If I press F7, it will take me to just the PowerPoint slide. So now we have set up these scenes, and you can use them whenever you are doing your lecture recording. The other thing we need to do is to change the output settings. So if you go into Settings again, either on the bottom right or through Files, what you want to do is you want to go to Output, and you want to change the recording format to MP4. You can also select your recording path. So all my videos just go into my video folder in the computer. You can change it if you want to. It's nice to know where they go. Apart from the recording format, there's no need to make any changes, so you can just press OK. So that's it. Now we have set up OBS for your lecture recordings. Now, how do we get started then? On the bottom right, you've got a couple of options. The option we will use is Start Recording. So the moment I press Start Recording, that's when your lecture recording starts. And you can see this on the bottom right where it says it has been recording for about 7 seconds now. You can pause your recording by clicking the pause button on the right-hand side of stop recording. I don't tend to use it that much. I just either start the recording or stop the recording because I will edit the videos at the end anyway. If you're done with your recording, you can press stop, and that's it. And the moment you press stop, you will be able to see your file already in the video folder. So let's go to this folder. So as you can see, I've done quite some recordings over the past couple of weeks, and what we are looking for now is the most recent one. So this is it. So you see the date and you see the time of your recording, so you can sort of easily find the videos that you will be working with. So what we will do next, we will use this video file in Adobe Rush in order to actually make some edits and to produce your lecture recording so that it is ready to be uploaded to Canvas. In this second part of the instruction video, I will talk you through using Adobe Rush for editing and producing or sharing your lecture recordings. Now that we have the file from OBS Studio, what we need to do is we need to download Adobe Rush, open the program, and start working with the video files. I will provide you with a link to Adobe Rush on the University of Sydney intranet site, so you can download Creative Cloud from there, and within Adobe Creative Cloud, you will be able to download Adobe Rush. So when you first open Adobe Rush, this is what you'll see. You'll see some sample media files, and you'll see an invitation to take a tour through Premiere Rush. So we want to skip the tour, and we want to jump straight into starting a new project. So we give our project a name. Let's call it test for now. And the next thing we want to do is we want to add some video files. So let's see, I've got quite some video files in there. Doesn't really matter which one I use. So I'm just going to take the first one that I see. And I'm going to click create at the top, sorry, at the bottom right corner. So now Adobe Rush will prepare the media, which means that it prepares it so you can start editing your video. Now let's see, so this video is produced with OBS. As you can see, I started off using a slide, then I had a webcam, and later I moved to both slides as well as webcam. Now there's a couple of things that we can do in Adobe Rush. And the main thing is chopping up your video in smaller pieces so that we can delete anything that we don't want or add any additional videos that we would want to include. Now let's get started. So what I normally do is I click this button on the left which says expand audio. And the reason is that it makes it easier for me to see when I start talking, and that allows me to select the bits that I want to cut without having to listen to the whole recording over and over again. So what you'll see is that there's a pause in the beginning, so the first couple of seconds. So I'm just gonna reduce this to here. So what I do is either you play the video and you press pause whenever you want the new video that you're producing to start, and then you can do two things. You can either grab this orange bar on the left, click it with your left mouse button and drag it to the blue marker. So what that means is that I've now shortened the first end of the video, the front end of the video, and it will start right away. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is by, again, pausing the blue marker where you want to start your actual video file and then pressing the scissor icon here. That will split your clip. So what I can now do, I can select this front end that I'm not going to use and press delete. So I just press delete on my keyboard. So now I've shortened the front end of the video. Now what can also happen is that in the middle of the lecture, you realize that you've stuffed up, so you want to get rid of that bit. So what you'll do is you can either listen to the recording, so you just press play, you pause it whenever you want to stop your recording, so you stop it whenever you want to cut, and then you press the scissor button. What you then do is you sort of continue listening, And you continue listening until you end up at the stage where you sort of want to end your cut. And then you press the scissors again. So what I've done now is I've chopped my video into 3 parts. So I've got the front end, which I'm happy with. I've got the middle bit that I want to get rid of. And I've got the end bit, which is also fine. So I select the middle bit, and again, I press delete. And now I've got only 2 bits left. But what you might notice that if you cut part of the video, the transition from this first section to the second section might not be that smooth. So what we want to do here is we want to add a transition. So the transition between part 1 and part 2 is smoothened. So you go to the right-hand side, you've got a couple of options. You go to transitions, you grab cross dissolve, and you drag it in between the 2 sections. So what you see now is that there will be a smoother transition both between the video as well as the audio from the beginning bit to the second part. So it's quite smooth now, so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, you can just keep on doing this. So again, if I'm not too happy about this bit, I can cut it by pressing the scissors. Make sure that you actually click the section where you want to cut, otherwise the scissor will be grayed out, like this. Like this, so I can't click it now. I first need to pause it, and then as soon as it turns orange, I can actually press the scissor, chop it in half. We'll start by continue listening, chop it again, and get rid of this part. So that is very basic editing, where you can get rid of pieces that you don't want to use. You can do the same thing towards the end of the video. If you want to shorten the end, you can do 2 things. Either you can press the scissor button and you delete the section at the back. The other option is to grab the end of this last part. With your left mouse, you keep your left mouse button pressed and you drag it up to the marker. What could happen is that if you want to shorten the video and you grab it, what you can see is that I'm only adjusting the video, whilst actually I want to have both of them. The easiest thing to do is just to collapse the audio. So if I collapse it, I can grab both at the same time. Whereas if I expand it, it becomes a bit trickier because I need to do both of them separately. You can do them separately, has no implications, but it just becomes a bit more fiddly. There we go. Now, other things that we can do is we can actually add another video, either at the end, at the front, or in the middle of this video that we are editing. So what you can do is you can go to the folder where you save all of your videos, and you can drag and drop the file into Adobe Rush. So I'm going to grab this file and drag it into Adobe Rush. When you drag the video into Adobe Rush, you can either put it at the end, so you can see the shaded area where it will appear. You can also add it somewhere in the middle, so you've got quite a lot of options here. For now, we'll put it towards the end, and there you have it. You immediately imported your video. And then you can just continue to start editing the video. So you can chop it up, you can cut it. If you want to delete a part, you can cut it again, and then delete the middle part. So you have the same options as we saw before. If we are happy with this video, the next step is to actually share it. When you get to the stage where you wanted to produce your video, so share it and upload it to your Canva site, what you do is you go to share, which is on the top. You press share, and then you have a couple of options. The key thing that you want to do is to make sure that you are producing an MP4 file. If you don't see MP4, you might need to change your file format. Automatically it's set to MP4, so there should not be any problems. What you then want to do is you want to change the folder where you want to save it. I'm just going to save this one to videos, and then I can change the name. And the last thing you need to do is you need to click export. And this is where your video is being rendered and published. This might take some time. So if you are producing a video for 30 minutes, the rendering will probably take up to 20 minutes. Once it has been rendered, you can upload your video to Canva Studio, which is the next thing that I'm going to show you. The last step is to upload your video to Canvas. When you go to Canvas, I suggest you go into Studio, which is on the left-hand side, and this is where we can start the upload. Now, the easiest way to do it is to drag and drop your file. So you go to the folder where you have saved your files, and what you do is you drag your video in there. So as soon as you grab your video from your folder, you drag it into Canvas. Another way to do it is to go to the top right corner where you see Add, and then you can browse your files, search for the video, and then upload it. What will happen next is that the video will start processing. So that's what you see at the top. It will give you a number here, which will tell you the percentage. And if it gets to 100, then it's ready to be embedded. So this was the uploading bit. The next bit is where you want to embed it into your Canvas site, so on a Canvas page. If we go to Accounting 5001, I'm just going to a page that's currently unused. If you are editing a page, what you can do is the following. You can embed your video. Doesn't really matter where I do it. I'm just going to do it right here. So you go to the spot where you would like to add your video. Then you click on More External Tools. And then you go down to Studio. You click Studio, and that will give you access to all of your available videos. Now, this is the video that we have just produced, the test video. So you select it. You've got some options here. You can disable the allow comments, so students can't put any comments in there. And then you can either enable or disable the download option. I tend to disable both options. When you're ready, you press embed. And what will happen then is that your video will appear right where you want it. One thing that helps to make your Canvas page look nice is the following. If we go into modules and we go into the module where we release our videos, what you will see is that all of the videos that we provide to the students have a similar look. So what Canvas Studio does, it normally creates a picture that's based upon the first, I think, 3 seconds or something of your recording, which looks very messy because then you have all these different pictures appearing on your Canvas site. So what you can do is you can add a thumbnail to each video, and that is exactly what you're looking at here. In order to add a thumbnail to a video, what you do is you go into your Canvas Studio. Then you click the 3 dots on the video that you want to edit, and you click Replace Thumbnail. So then what you will do, you will determine what the students will see if they haven't started playing the video yet. So this is what you will see on Canvas. So I've just got a couple of pictures here that I'm using. Select the picture that I want, and now you see this picture in the video instead of this randomly created thumbnail by Canvas Studio. In order to produce these thumbnails, I tend to use Microsoft PowerPoint. What I do in order to produce my thumbnail is I create a PowerPoint slide like this, and I save it as a picture instead of as a PowerPoint presentation. So you go to Save As, you select the location, and then instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, you want to save it as a PNG file. PNG, so Portable Network Graphics Format. You click that, you press Save. PowerPoint will ask you which slide do you want to export. You select just this one, and then you should be able to save it. What you do then is you will add this picture as thumbnail to get the following. Very briefly, before I end this video, this is just to show you my screen setup. So I've got 2 screens in the office. The left screen shows you my PowerPoint slide and OBS Studio. And on my right screen, I've got the PowerPoint in presenter mode. So that's how I am working whenever I do my lecture recordings.